Mr. Isaczai, welcome to Rudaw. I'm happy to have this interview for the second time with you.
Thank you so much, Noiner, and I'm glad to be back at Rudaw and to tell your audience what we're doing.
Thank you a lot. Iraq has a plan now, Iraq's development plan. The Prime Minister announced that plan, and of course the UN is interested in this, and you've seen the plan too. What's your takes on the plan, and how do you see this plan from Iraq? I think it's from 2023 to 2028.
It's actually from 2024.
24.
To 28.
Yeah.
Thank you for asking this question. And first of all, I wanted to congratulate Prime Minister Mohammed Shia al-Sudani and also Deputy Prime Minister Mohammed Tamim and Minister of Planning for the development and launch of the National Development Plan. I'm also proud to say that the United Nations supported through technical assistance led by UNDP to the development of the plan. The plan is actually very ambitious and very comprehensive. It's an attempt to, another attempt to achieve Iraq's Vision 2030. The plan is also very much aligned with international agreement that Iraq has committed or been a party to, for example, the Sustainable Development Goals, the Paris Climate Agreement, the Migration Compact, and of course many other commitments and obligations that Iraq has. The plan is also has 5 programs, and these programs are really to promote and strengthen investment in human capital and skills, economic reform and economic diversification, transition to clean energy, investment in infrastructure, and of course in the area of social protection and more. I think one of the other things I like about the plan is that it also has very specific targets to achieve by 2028 or 2030. For example, it wants to, the plan is intended to reduce poverty by 15%, unemployment by 30%. It's also want to stabilize the population growth at 2.5%. As you know, Iraq has really a population growth which would be unsustainable in the long run. Most of all, it also planned to maintain a 4.24% GDP growth, but that's again depending on oil prices. Most importantly, we talked about oil prices, that since Iraq's economy is very dependent on oil, the plan is an effort to diversify the economy and to bring non-oil sector growth, especially, for example, investment in support to Iraqi producers in non-oil sector to improve Iraq's competitiveness. So there will be a facility for export promotion facility to make Iraq more competitive in the region and also in the global market.
It's actually an interesting plan, and I don't remember that if we look at Iraq in the previous years, there was lots of challenges, security challenges and other regional challenges. Iraq didn't really have a chance to address such problems. But before this national plan, the United Nations also had a plan, which is the United Nations Sustainable Cooperation Framework.
Yes.
And I think somehow, if we look at that plan, the targets are somehow the same. It's poverty, sustainability, and how this Iraqi national plan is aligned with the UN's plan.
Well, I think I would put it the other way around. How is the UN plan aligned to National Development Plan? Because our policy as the UN in all countries around the world is that we have to align our plan to national priorities and plan. Because our role as the UN is to support the government plan, not our own plan. And of course, in most cases, our plan and government plan are very much synchronized, because if the government of Iraq is focusing on SDGs, for us that's really an important aspect. So our current cooperation framework, I will use cooperation framework or cooperation agreement because the name is very long, UN Sustainable Development Cooperation Framework. So I will only call it the UN Cooperation Framework. The current one is ending, and we are now developing a new one that starts in 2025 and cover 5 years and go until 2029. So our new plan actually very much aligned and is in support of the National Development Plan. In fact, we postponed or we delayed the development of our plan, waiting for the launch of the National Development Plan to make sure that there is alignment with the National Development Plan. For example, I can give you some very specific. In fact, in our new plan, which is now under government review, and we hope to launch it by end of the year, and I hope Rudaw will do a specific or special feature on it, because it's for all of Iraq, including the Kurdistan region. Our plan is, if we look at our plan, we've done a mapping how some of the 4 areas that we support is supporting also some of the national programs that the Iraqi government is trying to implement, especially focusing on poverty reduction, employment, climate change, social protection, and I would say rule of law and governance. That's something that is also very much for us an important area. I also wanted to say that we have 4 pillars in our UN cooperation framework. The first pillar is focusing on social protection services, and that is health, education, water and sanitation, and of course social protection in terms of government support to very vulnerable and poor people, especially IDPs and people with disabilities. Iraq has a large number of people with disabilities. So we're trying to help the line ministries on how to improve access and the quality of service to the population. For example, Iraq is being monitored on a lot of indicators. How do we reduce maternal and child mortality? How do we reduce the dropout rate from schools, especially for girls and young people? How do we invest more in early education? Because education is the foundation for the future of Iraq. How do we expand educational services? Because right now, also infrastructure, there's overcrowding in many of the Iraqi schools. In the area of health, we would like to help Iraq provide universal access to health services to all its citizens. How do we improve the quality of health services so that Iraqis don't have to travel abroad and spend money on health services? So our role is very technical. In the same way, in the area of economic diversification, we would like to invest more and support Iraq in scaling up the skills through technical vocational training program. In fact, after your interview, I will be going in Kurdistan to a project that UNESCO and EU is implementing with EU funding in UNESCO. And this is, of course, how do we improve vocational training in the area of agriculture. In the area of economic diversification, again, our focus will be very much on small, medium enterprises. The engine of growth and diversification of economy comes from small, medium enterprises. Big companies have their role, but if we have to create jobs, we have to invest in small, medium enterprises. Provide access to them to finance. Help them in financial literacy, how to even prepare a basic business plan. So we will be doing a lot of these modeling. I call it modeling and pilots, hoping that the Iraqi government would scale them up. And because it has to, we don't have the resources to do it. in the area of, and also value chain development. How do we bring those products to the local market and to the international market? And make the informal economy more formal, because that way then it's also revenue generated through taxes for the treasury, for the Iraqi government.